When Audi officially enters Formula One in 2026, it won't be arriving quietly. This is not a branding exercise or a short-term experiment. Audi has openly stated its ambition to fight for world championships within 5 years. In modern F1, where even established giants struggle to convert resources into results, that is an audacious target. The early years of Audi's takeover of Sauber have not exactly inspired blind confidence. The team's performance during the so-called soft launch period after the initial acquisition agreement in late 2022 was inconsistent, often underwhelming, and rarely threatening the front of the midfield. Yet by 2025, signs of real progress finally began to emerge. The question is whether that progress represents genuine transformation or merely a temporary upswing before the brutal realities of Formula One reassert themselves. To answer that, Audi's readiness for 2026 needs to be judged across 4 critical pillars: technical development, operational execution, power unit performance, and long-term financial stability. A technical reset years in the making. Sauber's recent history tells a story of extremes. At the beginning of the current ground effect era in 2022, the team surprised many by scoring heavily in the opening races. That momentum quickly evaporated. Across the next 2.5 seasons, points finishes became rare, development stalled, and correlation issues between wind tunnel data and on-track performance repeatedly undermined progress. The turning point came late in 2024. A revised aerodynamic concept, lower, stiffer, and more aggressive, initially showed promise before exposing deep-rooted weaknesses in the team's development tools. Only after a late-season floor upgrade, introduced just weeks before the year ended, did the car begin to behave consistently. That single upgrade prevented a pointless campaign, and more importantly, laid the conceptual foundation for the 2025 car. By 2025, Audi's technical leadership began treating the season as a proving ground. With most senior resources focused on the all-new 2026 regulations, Technical Director James Key assigned a small, younger group of aerodynamicists to refine the current car. Their task was not to chase peak downforce, but to improve robustness, reducing airflow sensitivity, minimizing sudden losses of load, and making the car predictable for drivers. That philosophy worked. A sequence of floor updates through the Spanish, Austrian, and British Grand Prix transformed the car into a stable midfield contender. The most visible result was Nico Hülkenberg's long-awaited podium at Silverstone, but the deeper significance lay in what the upgrades proved. Sauber's simulation tools were finally beginning to align with reality. While 2026's regulations reset the aerodynamic landscape entirely, that improved understanding of airflow behavior, vortex control, and platform stability carries over. Add expanding staff numbers, a new UK technical center, and major upgrades at the Hinwil factory, and it becomes clear Audi is closing gaps that had existed for over a decade. The rules change may arrive slightly earlier than ideal, but there is no technical reason Audi cannot produce a solid, competitive car from day one. From drifting team to structured operation. Raw speed alone does not score points in Formula One. Operational sharpness, how a team extracts performance at the track, often separates contenders from also-rans. In this area, Sauber made arguably its biggest leap in 2025. Just 1 year earlier, the team routinely underperformed relative to its car's potential. Strategy calls were conservative, qualifying execution inconsistent, and race weekends often felt reactive rather than controlled. That began to change with the arrival of Jonathan Wheatley as team principal, but the cultural shift actually started earlier. Audi F1 project boss Mattia Binotto described inheriting a team that had effectively paused, waiting for Audi rather than pushing toward it. His response was to impose clarity, define targets, accountability, and a clear expectation that 2025 results still mattered. That mindset change showed. Pit wall decisions improved. Race execution became cleaner. Even when outright pace was lacking, the team maximized opportunities more consistently. There were still limitations. Qualifying remained a weakness, particularly in extracting peak performance on low fuel, but the direction of travel was unmistakable. Importantly, Audi avoided one of the most common manufacturer traps, assuming the brand itself would magically fix everything in 2026. Instead of coasting, Sauber sharpened its competitive instincts. That evolution, though overdue, suggests a team learning how to operate with purpose again. Audi's power unit. If the chassis side offers cautious optimism, the power unit remains Audi's biggest uncertainty. Developed by Audi Formula Racing at Neuburg and Adenau in Bavaria, Audi's all-new hybrid package represents a massive technical undertaking. The facility itself is state-of-the-art, built specifically for F1 with no obvious resource limitations. Under the cost cap, Audi has not been outspent by rivals, and as a new manufacturer, it was allowed additional development budget in the early years. Yet resources do not automatically equal performance. Audi has openly admitted it did not initially identify certain efficiency tricks used by established power unit suppliers, particularly those relating to high-temperature combustion strategies. That honesty is refreshing, but also revealing. The full power unit, including the V6 engine, MQK, battery, and control electronics, has been running on test benches since mid-2024. Integration with the gearbox and transmission systems followed soon after. Reliability, not peak output, has been the early focus. Audi expects the engine used in initial testing to be significantly detuned relative to the final race specification. Crucially, F1's 2026 rules allow performance catch-up mechanisms. If a manufacturer is demonstrably behind by a defined margin, the FIA can permit additional development opportunities and spending flexibility. Audi may well rely on that system early on. Another wild card is fuel. With advanced sustainable fuels becoming a central performance differentiator in 2026, Audi's partnership with BP could prove decisive or limiting. Fuel chemistry will be worth lap time, not just sustainability credentials. The realistic expectation is that Audi's power unit will not lead the field in 2026. But if it is close enough, the regulations offer pathways to close the gap over time. Money, politics, and long-term commitment. No modern F1 project survives without financial resilience, and Audi's has been scrutinized heavily. The reason is simple. Audi, as a road car business, is undergoing painful restructuring. Job cuts, reduced profit forecasts, and massive electrification investments have raised questions about priorities. However, the F1 project has been deliberately insulated. Audi moved from a partial to full takeover of Sauber, then sold a significant minority stake to the Qatar Investment Authority, ensuring long-term capital backing. A major title sponsorship with Revolut further strengthens revenue streams, alongside guaranteed F1 prize money. Internally, Audi views the team not as a cost drain, but as an appreciating asset. With F1 team valuations soaring, the project holds tangible financial value even before sporting success arrives. That framing matters when budgets are under pressure elsewhere. For now, Audi's commitment appears secure. The real test will come if progress stalls beyond the 5-year window, but that is a question for the future. So, can Audi win? Audi's Formula One project is neither a guaranteed success nor an impending failure. It is something rarer, a serious, methodical attempt built on long-term planning rather than instant gratification. Technically, the foundations are finally solid. Operationally, the team is sharper than it has been in years. Financially, the structure is robust. The power unit remains the largest risk, but even that comes with regulatory safety nets. History warns that big manufacturers do not always translate potential into championships. Formula One punishes assumptions and rewards relentless execution. Audi has the tools, the talent, and the patience, but it still has to prove it can turn promise into performance. In 2026, midfield competitiveness would not be failure. It would be the beginning of the journey Audi has committed to. Whether that journey ends in titles will depend not on ambition, but on how well Audi adapts once the lights go out and reality takes over. Audi's Formula One journey is just getting started, and the next few seasons will show whether ambition can truly turn into championships. If you want deep, no-nonsense breakdowns of F1 projects, teams, and the stories behind the results, you're in the right place. If you want to be smarter every day, like and subscribe.